lady juror who changed her vote from not guilty to guilty because she felt intimidated that he had been kicked off, and she figured the rest of the jurors would get her kicked off too. So it is important to Congresswoman Brown because right now she is no longer a convicted felon. Unfortunately, she served a lot of time in prison and can't give that back to her. But as she sits here today, she's no longer a convicted felon. And of course, her hope is that the government will decide that it's not appropriate to retry her so she doesn't have to run that gauntlet of a trial all over again.
Yes, yes. And thank you for educating us on that, because when we look at these terms, especially for those of us that may not be practicing trial attorneys or with that particular background, when we hear these terms from partial to absolute, so she does have to be retried. Did I hear you correctly?
She can be retried. She doesn't have to be retried, and the prosecutors are going to have to make an informed decision. You know, she's in her mid-70s. She served her prison time. You know, she's lost her job as a congresswoman because of all the bad publicity. Is it really appropriate to spend the taxpayers' money to retry her? And Mr. Nicks, remember this: 2 of the 12 original jurors were going to vote not guilty, which means the government, theoretically, if it's an equally fair-minded jury, is never going to get a conviction because some folks on the jury did not believe the government proved their case beyond a reasonable doubt. Why try it a second time if you can reasonably expect that other jurors, if picked again, will decide the government hasn't proven their case?
Wow, wow. See, and
Nahshon, can I ask really quick?
Go ahead. Jump in.
Is she the possibility of Coleman Camp? You know, I've done a little bit of research on that specific federal facility. Do you have any updates on? I know she was released early due to
the government hasn't proven their case.
Are there any other, you know, updates on her possibility of going specifically back there with the uprising of the women's camp?
Well, that again is one of the areas of her vindication because she served her prison time. On a retrial, the law generally is she cannot get more time than she got before. So if the government wants to try her again, she's not going to go back to prison. She won't go to Coleman or any place. So what they'll do is take a senior citizen in her mid-70s who spent the last 2 or 3 years running a terrible gauntlet. What would be the point of trying her again? Just to make her a convicted felon? You know, they've surely got their pound of flesh by now and hopefully will decide not to proceed. Although the latest news is they've asked the judge for, I believe, a 90-day stay because they're inquiring of the Solicitor General. That's the office in Washington that decides whether the government can take appeals. The local office has asked the Solicitor General to consider taking an appeal to the United States Supreme Court to try to get the 11th Circuit decision reversed. Now, that isn't very likely to happen, but it just shows you that the government is apparently still trying to hang on to that verdict.
Copy that. Listen, everyone, we do have to take a break. We will be right back after these messages. You're listening to the Impact Radio Show presented by the Florida Star newspaper. Please stay live and stay loaded. All right. Now, this commercial is only like about 30 seconds.
Okay.
All right. I'm coming back with Kimpa. And I would like for you to kind of, matter of fact, we're still live right now on social media. So if you want to put a plug in for your law practice, and Kimpa, if you want to put a plug in for your water bar.
Ladies first.
Yeah,
ladies first. She gets to go first.
Tell us how to get to the water bar.
So you can find us on Google. It'll give you directions straight there. But the address is 921 Edgewood Avenue South. We are in Murray Hill, directly across from the Murray Hill Theater and Library.
Awesome. And now, so like, do you have like a water subscription? Like, how do you distribute your water? You know what I mean? Like do you do it in grams, ounces?
So you get flavored drinks, you get flavored water or bubbly water, and you get it in 12 or 16 ounces.
Okay. All right. Then they hit you with a new commercial. This is, yeah, this is my first time hearing this commercial about Florida Star. Yes. All right. Attorney Curtis, tell the folks how. All right. Now we're coming back. Hold on a second.
Sure.
And welcome back to the Impact Radio Show presented by the Florida Star newspaper. This is your host, Nahshon Nicks. Please subscribe to the Florida Star newspaper. Over 30,000 subscribers between South Georgia and North Florida. Promote your product, your service, your business, your event. TheFloridaStar.com, TheFloridaStar.com. We were just talking to Miss Kimpa with the alkaline water. She was telling us where you can get your liquor-free liquid. Now, tell us again how to find the water bar. Again,
I like that.
Tell us again how to find this water. Listen, y'all know Ponce de Leon came to Florida looking for the fountain of youth. How
That's
in
right.
the world do we get this fountain of youth water?
That's right. So you can find us at 921 Edgewood Avenue South for the water bar. And the hydration station is right next door. It's at 925 Edgewood Avenue South.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And now, how do you like? Do you sell your water by the gram, the ounce, the case?
So
No, how much do you try to pour it in my hand?
No. We currently sell it by the case and by the gallon. The case is a 24 case of 16.9 ounce bottles. They come in BPA free bullet bottles. And then you have the gallon jugs that are of course 1 gallon, but it comes in a case of 6. So you can get either size. And you can come to the water bar side and you can get the flavored drinks in a 12 or 16 ounce cup.
Okay, so you can get a cup of water. So you all right with me? Come on over here and get a cup of water. Now, growing up, did you ever drink out the water hose?
I did. Used to drink out the water hose growing up. Mm-hmm.
So what is the difference between the water hose water? Because my mama wouldn't let us come in the house until we washed our hands and everything. By that time, I had to get something to drink. But the more the story is, what's the between water hose water and Aquavita water?
Well, nowadays, the difference between the water hose water and Alcavita water is our water, it comes from a naturally high pH spring. It's a little south of Central Florida. And it just picks up trace minerals and stuff from the spring. One of the major minerals that it picks up is the limestone mineral, and it raises the pH level of the water. So it can be anywhere from a 7.8 to an 8.0, well, actually to an 8.3, depending on the season. And then the water fountain or the water hose water is a city municipal water, which could have or risk certain contaminations, cancer causing, I guess, contaminants that's in the water. You can go to the JEA website, and it talks about all the contaminants that is in our city water. So wherever you're located, I would go to that water website and find out, where your water is coming from, what's in it, and then, go from there.
Now, I'm just curious, how did you discover this niche? What, like one day you were thirsty. Tell me about it.
Well, it didn't exactly happen that way. I discovered it because I had another business. So the other business that I had was you are so funny, is a grocery delivery company. We did a bunch of grocery delivery downtown, and then we started doing tailgate delivery. So at the football games, if you ran out of ice, water, beer, whatever, we would replace it by coming by to your tailgating spot, and we would place it on a golf cart. And then I was just thinking to myself that I needed my own product to give, because I was just like making Coca-Cola and all these other beverage companies rich. And I just, wanted to have my own beverage. So I initially was looking into like a sports drink, sugar-free sports drink, because that's a big thing. There's a lot of sports drinks out there, but they have a lot of sodium and sugar in it. So it still keeps you dehydrated. So I was like, what's better to keep you, hydrated? And that it's just water. Water is like the best thing to keep you hydrated. So I started searching for springs, and I found the best one, and that's how it started.
Yep. Look at that. Look at that. Now she's like Vita St. Patrick around here.
No, ignore him.
It's so crazy. Thank you for chiming in, girl. He is funny.
All right. Well, unfortunately, this is a Christian radio broadcast. So if you know about Power, Tasha, and James St. Patrick, you ain't saved all the way. So, but listen, everybody, we're going to trail back because when it comes to the legal system on tonight, Mr. Curtis Fallgatter is our legal expert, especially when it comes to vindication, precedents, and former Congresswoman Corrine Brown. Now, does this vindication give her an opportunity to run for public office again?
Correct. You know, when you become a convicted felon, you lose your civil rights, the right to vote, hold public office, and carry firearms. Because she's no longer a convicted felon, she can do all of those things. Now, she still has the cloud of the adverse publicity that's hanging overhead, but you know there are answers to that. And you talk about, ask me about the retrial. Here's another factor. She should really never have been convicted of the One Door fraud. You remember One Door was the charity that she was a spokesperson for.
Mhm.
That fraud, the government claimed, was a fraud because the One Door organization was not spending the money on the charities like they promised. Well, the United States Supreme Court places no limits on the amount of collections that have to go to the charity. It's a free speech issue. That was not really raised. It should have been, because that's a valid defense for her. The most important one is this, though. You cannot be guilty of a fraud to cheat on how the charity money is being spent if you don't know how the charity money is being spent. She did not run the organization. She was not getting monthly or quarterly or annual reports of any kind. She didn't have a clue how they were spending it. And the government could not prove that she knew that they were misusing the money. We know that because there were only two witnesses, the president of One Door, Carly Wiley, and her former chief of staff, Ronnie Simmons, who was Carly Wiley's boyfriend. The two of them concocted a scheme to collect money and spend it on whatever they wanted. But they didn't tell her that. They both signed plea agreements with the government. They each had about a 20-page factual basis explaining what their knowledge was about the fraud. And guess what? Not one word in there that said, oh, by the way, we told Congresswoman Brown we were cheating on how we're spending the money. Nor did they testify about it. She should never have been convicted, because you can't be part of a conspiracy to commit a crime if you don't know the organization is committing a crime. That's another powerful reason why she should never be retried, because she shouldn't have been prosecuted in the first place.
So hold on. Like, I'm trying to figure out, how do you know all of this? Like, did you learn this information or discover this information after she was convicted? Or because you're sharing some information, I guess, that only a select few may have known, because when you start talking about credibility, especially in the Black community, our leaders are few and far between when it comes to those who actually stand up for our issues and our concerns. And then for someone of her stature to be convicted of something so egregious that she shouldn't have been convicted in the first place. So how did you come across these details?
First of all, Mr. Nicks, remember, I was a federal prosecutor for 17 years. I ran the U.S. Attorney's Office as the chief assistant for 13 years. I was one of the authors of the form plea agreement that's being used 30 years later. I know how to read federal plea agreements. Carla Wiley and Ronnie Simmons both pled guilty. They did it pursuant to a document called a plea agreement. That plea agreement has one portion of it that has them admit the facts the government can prove. And anyone who knows about federal plea agreements can read that plea agreement. I did it 2 years ago. And you can read the agreement and see what facts the government wants them to admit. Believe me, the government throws in the kitchen sink on cooperating witnesses because they expect them to take the witness stand and implicate the person who's the target of the prosecution. Congresswoman Brown was the target. So they threw in the kitchen sink in the plea agreement. When you read the factual basis of the plea agreement, you could see, anyone could see, you could read it now and see that they didn't lay a glove on Congresswoman Brown on the central issue of the claim fraud, which was there cheating going on how the collection money, the charity funds, were being spent. They couldn't say that because they never told her that they were not spending the money on charities like the government would have wished they would have done. So what I'm saying is, based on those agreements and based on their testimony, she should never have been convicted of any fraud on that one-door charity case. She knew nothing about any fraud. That's the bedrock. It's criminal law 101. You can't be a member of a conspiracy if you don't know there's a conspiracy. And then the second point is the United States Supreme Court says you can't place limits on how the charity money is collected. A charity can spend $99 on overhead and $1 on the charity if they want. They don't have to spend it all on the charity. Sorry about the ring.
Now, let me ask you this: you probably got a new client because the way that you're talking, I'm no surprise. Shoot, I got some customers that need to reach out to you. We'll talk offline about that. But
Okay.
now,
I have a question.
I'm sure they're innocent.
Is there anything we can do to support Congresswoman Brown? Like call anybody, reach out to anybody on her behalf?
Here's the key now. She needs to convince the government to not retry her. It's not fair. She should not have been indicted on that charge in the first place. How do you make that happen? One way is to talk the U.S. Attorney's Office here in town to drop in the case, but that is unlikely to happen because they're the ones that brought the charges. On the other hand, because she was an elected public official, the policy of the Department of Justice is that the Department of Justice and the public integrity section up there handles public official fraud cases. The Department of Justice is going to have to approve or disapprove a retrial of her. So what she needs to do is get an audience, not her necessarily, but her representatives need to get an audience with the Department of Justice attorneys who have the power and authority to say, no, she's gone through enough. It's not fair to retry her. Here's all the reasons why not. And tell this U.S. Attorney's Office that they do not have permission to retry Corinne Brown. Now she needs to get a team together. So she probably, I don't know what her finances are. She spent a lot of money, but she probably needs to, get some funding together to put together the right kind of team that can go to Washington and explain, as I'm doing here, explain to those powerful government attorneys why she should not be retried.
Now, what about the double jeopardy? Does that fall in this particular situation?
No, double jeopardy, you can't be retried twice for the same crime, right?
Right.
But when I get convicted, hypothetically, I get convicted of mail fraud, and I go up on appeal and I ask the Court of Appeals to reverse my conviction for procedural reasons. In other words, this case, the juror got kicked off. I waive my double jeopardy claim because I'm asking Court of Appeals to let me have a trial again, a second trial where I can hopefully win that trial. I want to throw out that prior conviction because it was improperly obtained by kicking a juror off. So give me a clean slate to try it again. So when you take an appeal, you waive any double jeopardy claims.
Yes, we're definitely going to bring you back in, Attorney Fallgatter. Ms. Kimpa, I'm going to give you an opportunity to call out your business, location, and website one more time before we go to the break, and then we're going to get around to community updates with Ms. Vanessa after we come back. But before we go to the break, Ms. Kimpa, if you can please call out the name of your business, location, and website, because I want people to subscribe and get that cup of water too.
Thank you. The website is
You do a taste test? I want to taste all the flavors of limestone. I want to taste alkaline 7, alkaline 8.
No,
I'm done.
It's alkavita.life is the website. The address is 920 and 925 Edgewood Avenue South, Jacksonville, Florida, 32205.
Sis, aren't you like the official water of a couple of places? Shout them out.
Oh, yes. So we're the official water sponsor for the Iceman hockey team. We are the official water sponsor. We're closing in on the Sharks soon. And I'm so sorry. This man just stood in the middle of the street. So sorry. But yes, so those are the two teams that we are the official water sponsors for right now. Thank you so much for highlighting that. And we are working on closing in the Jaguars, y'all. They are, yes, put one up for us so we can get that Jaguar deal.
Hallelujah. I did it. I'm doing it right now. I'm praying.
Thank you.
English and in the spirit.
Huh?
Son, that wasn't for you. That was between me
Please
and God.
Oh,
don't
okay.
encourage him to don't. Just don't.
Threw the hand down.
Just don't.
Yes. But Vanessa, what else is going on around town?
There's a ton of stuff going on in St. Augustine, guys. It's right down the street. There's a vegan festival down there, and Coolio is going to be out there. So if you want to drop back to the 90s, head on out. Also, Emancipation Day. So Juneteenth is celebrated throughout the country, but in Florida, our Emancipation Day is May 20th. And this year, James Weldon Johnson Park, formerly Hemming Park, right outside the St. James building downtown. There'll be a nice Emancipation Day activities with some local artists, some of my friends. Non-Comma is going to be out there. If you've ever been out there dancing, some of the poets from this past Poetry Month will be out there. So it's looking like it will be a great day. The weather's been nice, so hopefully people can come out, still get vaccinated and wash your hands and all that other good stuff. But you know, that's just a given. Even if you've had the vaccine, please continue to wash your hands.
Right.
And, you know, if you're coughing and everything, just stay home.
All right. Now, Vanessa, how do people reach out to you so that way they can reach out to you for an editorial to get their story told or written?
Well, I always give out my phone number, 904-385-0326. You can see my @ symbol here, and you'll probably see me around town. I have locks. I always have a gang of kids with me, so if you see me, just stop me. You can also give me a phone call, send me a text. Thanks, Nahshon.
Listen, everybody, you've been listening to the Impact Radio Show. I want you to do business with the Florida Star newspaper, info@thefloridastar.com or thefloridastar.com, thefloridastar.com. Promote your product, your business, your service, your event. Once again, Kimpa attorney Fallgatter have shared with you their time-tested talents and gifts. So please do not grow weary in doing well, because your due season is on the way. As I always say, knowledge is power. Knowledge of self is powerful, and knowledge of God is a source of all power. Please get up, get out, and get the Florida Star newspaper. I love you. God bless you, and good night. Good night.
Stay safe, girls. Stay safe.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, don't be
Thank you.
my cousins in the street.
I literally just came and stood in the middle of the street, and I'm like, what is happening right now?
You're driving in Jacksonville. That's what's happening right now.
Basically.
All right,
It's
everybody.
crazy.
Thank you, Attorney
Thank you guys for
Fallgatter.
having me. I
My
appreciate you.
pleasure.